Welcome one and all, I'm Decoy, and I'm back with a bunch more cool and unique camp locations. You know, those awesome spots that have structures that you can take advantage of. Now, as first one, we got this boat here, and I wouldn't be surprised if many of you have passed by it in your travels out in the waste. But you can camp here, and it does look pretty freaking cool. Now, I mean, yeah, sadly it is ripped in half, but I give it a pass because you can still take advantage of this spot. Now, you do have an explosive crate at the back of the boat, and up here in the front you have a cooler, so a lovely little food container. Sadly, those are the only two containers that you can loot here. And you can go to the front of the boat and attempt to recreate Titanic if you want. I mean, the boat's already done the other part of the work for you. Yeah, let's see how many people enjoyed that joke. But I did think this was a cool spot. Just thought I'd throw it in here. I could see it being a fairly interesting centerpiece in a camp. But you'll find that right here, kind of on the edge between the forest and Toxic Valley. But let's head further in towards Toxic Valley for this next one, where I've got a lovely little location for you. And this spot is definitely interesting. I was trying to think like what word would best describe it, and interesting is definitely the word. You do have quite a bit that you can loot from this spot, including a whole bunch of alcohol. Because I know some of you out there, you love your alcohol. Looking at you, Smoke. Love that alcohol. Now, the one thing that is cool about this, aside from all the alcohol, is it's got a pre-built stage for you. And how many spots out there can you camp at that have a stage? Not only does it have a stage, it has a bunch of different hats. So if for some reason you need one of those hats, you can always swing by over here. That top hat back there, it's worth a little bit of caps. You also get a few bags of concrete. And you get your Tinkerer's workbench. Now this generator right here, I'm going to go off on a limb and assume that you can't use that. I feel like it's a fairly safe bet because anytime I've seen anything like that in a camp location, it almost always is decorative. But who knows, you might get lucky. So that's going to wrap up Toxic Valley. Now we'll head down to the Ash Heap. Way down there. To this spot right here. Someone's going to have to be excited about this one because you almost get a little concrete bunker at your camp. It's already got stairs going up to the top for you. There is some stuff you can loot over there, but you can't camp there. But up here, you get a fair amount of flat building space on top of it. Always cool. And you get double doors going to the inside. And you have a decent amount of space to work with in here as well, along with a whole bunch of junk. Now, I will say, I'm fairly grateful. While there is some debris on the ground, it is not nearly as bad as some of the other locations we've been to. And aside from all the junk, you do have a few containers that you can loot. Gotta love those packs of duct tape. All that sweet adhesive. I do kind of wish this big machine right there wasn't in here. But honestly, we can't really complain. It is a pretty cool location. Another thing that's kind of cool is a lot of people at first glance might have assumed they couldn't camp here. Because let me pull my camp out. Alright, so you can camp here. Go running around the building. Half of the area around this building you can't put down your camp at. So you got to be picky where you throw it down. So there's your awesome little concrete bunker. I feel like someone's going to take advantage of that. It was pretty freaking cool. I'm not sure about enemy spawns because when I showed up there were some enemies fighting a little bit further down, so I don't know if one group aggroed the other away. It's just something you'll have to test out. Now let's head in to the Savage Divide, where I have a fake town. I don't know how else to put it. Now this fake town kind of sucks for two reasons. One, it's really overgrown in areas. And two, you can't go inside any of these buildings. So the buildings themselves are purely decorative. But if you're someone that's wanting to build like a town as a camp, I think this spot might work out pretty well for that, because it's just going to add a bunch more buildings to your town, at least look-wise. And you even got your pilot that ejected. I put some thought into that one. I'm pretty sure that's what that guy was. So, it does suck that, yeah, you can't go in the buildings, but a little bit further on into the video, I'll use marsupial to my advantage and show you something rather odd. And you do have a couple cars here, which is kind of cool. Now, the car a little bit further down. Let me get past all the weeds. There are a lot of weeds here. Down here you got your mechanic that, I guess, didn't have that much luck repairing this vehicle. There's not much of a vehicle there to repair. But yeah, every time I look at these buildings, I get kind of disappointed, because this is a really cool spot if you could at least go inside one of the buildings. Let me head over here. I'll hop up on top, because while there are holes, there's like an invisible wall, so you can't even get inside. And this is what bums me out about this spot more than anywhere else. I mean, look at that. You should be able to go in there. But, who knows, if you've got some tricks up your sleeve, you might be able to still get in. But, you're going to have some pretty good tricks to pull it off. Someday I do plan on coming back to this spot and camping here myself, just so I can see if I can get into one of the buildings through various means. So you find that right there, not far away from one of my other camp locations from last week. Now let's head into the mire for something really simple. A grave. Oh yeah, someone out there wants to camp at a grave, right? I mean, a little bit of a haunting going on at your camp. It's got to be cool. Got turrets flying all over the place. Okay, I'm pretty sure that won't happen if you camp here, but I make no promises. Poltergeist may be here. You never know. So aside from having your graves, the only thing to note here is the safe, and you do need a specific key to get into it. So let me open up my map here in a second, and I'll show you where I think that key is at. I mean, my memory is not the best, but I'm pretty sure it's the town down there near the workshop. Come on, scroll over. There you go. So if you get down to Berkeley Springs, I think it's a 2-story house. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the key was inside like an oven or a washing machine, something like that. It was inside an appliance. You have to forgive me. My memory is not what it needs to be for this. But let's head on down to Cranberry Bog, where we'll wrap this up with the makings of a shantytown. And I don't think it's a far stretch for you to be able to place your camp in the middle and then start building around the outer edge of your circle, taking advantage of what's already here. to build and add on to the shantytown. I feel like it could work out pretty well. But it is in the Cranberry Bog, so I don't know if you want to mess with that. Now, when I was here at this location, it did spawn in some robots, but for some reason they were low-level robots. Not sure what was going on with that. So aside from having a couple structures that you can take advantage of, back behind this spot, when I get there is one of those wood piles that I haven't tested it out yet. But from what I know, you can put a resource extractor on there to grab wood. I don't know who's really worried about that, but it's there. So that's going to wrap up all my cool and unique camp locations. This one, luckily, not too far away from the Watoga train station. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll be back with cult camp locations next week. As usual, please remember to like, sub, and share. Later.